Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome and a good afternoon to Taiwan. This time, not from Hsinchu, where we met last time for our general information session, but from our still brand new studio here at our headquarters in Dresden, Saxony's capital, and also our headquarter of Saxony Trade and Invest. Last time when we met in Hsinchu, we had a lively discussion and we learned a lot from you. What is important for you to know, what information you need to set up business in Germany. And we learned 3 points that were important for you. One aspect was that you wanted to know more about how to incorporate in Germany, how to build up a business unit in Germany. That was one important point. The second point was that banking and taxation issues were very important. And the third point was, how do people from Taiwan get to Dresden and Germany to work here? So to get more information on visa regulations. And so here we are today. We invited experts on all these 3 topics to our webinar today. And I'm really thankful and happy that Michael Erfurt, he's responsible for the corporate coverage of Deutsche Bank, is here with us today. He's sitting next to me in our studio and will be part of the session later. And also Ms. Schön and Udo Sellhast, 2 senior managers of Germany Trade and Invest, are also joining us today and will cover the topics taxation, incorporation, and also visa regulations. So I'm really happy, and also not to forget, even live with us and possible to join, Ingrid Chang, also representative of Deutsche Bank in Taiwan. She'll be with us today as well. Let me mention some technical details as well for today's session. Although you dialed in via YouTube, this is not a 100% public session. Only the people who got the link via email can join this webinar. So this is still a secured space for your questions later in the Q&A session. And we'll have the possibility that you, after every presentation, you can use the chat for comprehension questions. And later on, we will have a Q&A session after we have finished all our presentations to discuss topics a bit deeper. One sentence to myself. I'm Andreas Lippert. I'm COO for the topic of investor services here at Saxony Trade and Invest. Together with my colleague Konrad Kremer, we organized the session in September in Hsinchu, so we all personally met already. And I'm happy to meet you again, although virtually today. I think this is for the start, and we'll now give a short introductory presentation again on the business environment in Saxony, because this is all where it comes from. This is all where it starts, the business environment in Saxony. I'm just waiting for my colleagues to give me the sign that the presentation is on. Yeah, it's on. Thanks for that. And we can already jump into the next one. This is our agenda for today. You may have seen it already when you joined via YouTube. After a short welcome, Ms. Schön from GDAI will tell us more about incorporation in Germany. And then later, her colleague Udo Sellhast will discuss the topics of taxation and entry and residence regulations. After that, Mr. Erfurt is joining on the topic of banking and banking account opening, which is usually the first and major step that you have to look after in Germany. And he'll be joined on demand by Ingrid Chang later on. And then finally, we'll see the Q&A session. So next one, please. This is where it all starts. The decision of TSMC in August this year, when it was made public by TSMC that they are going to set up a new fab in Dresden, is the game changer also probably for you, and is a very important piece of the overall puzzle of the business environment here in Saxony. You all know TSMC announced to set up a semiconductor fab on 300 millimeter technology, and is going to set up a facility with about 2,000 high qualified and professional jobs, and is going to begin production by the end of 27. And right now, TSMC is pushing forward also the plannings for its fab here in Dresden. And the representatives of our region of the Free State of Saxony are in close and direct contact with the representatives of TSMC to make this plan also reality. Next slide, please, colleagues. But TSMC is only one puzzle piece. It's the other puzzle pieces are named here. It's incredible how many companies have decided now to push the semiconductor industry forward in Europe. It's GlobalFoundries, it's Intel in Magdeburg, but TSMC, and lately also GlobalFoundries that announced that they think about further investments in Dresden as well. So, and overall, these investments, they paint a picture that is completely different to the past. In the next coming years, the investments will exceed by 5 times the investments that have taken place in the last 20 years. So we are really looking into a new era of the semiconductor industry here in Germany, and particularly in Saxony. And let's zoom a bit in to this picture into Saxony with the next slide. What does this picture show? It shows that Germany is really a semiconductor country. More than 30 fabs exist already in Germany. 30 fabs means also 30 potential customers for you and your companies here. And in Saxony in particular, the fabs are focused on the latest 300 millimeter technology lines. And you also see that the majority of the new investments that have been announced is taking place in this region of Silicon Saxony, let's say a 200-kilometer radius around the city of Dresden, where all these new investments take place. And let's have a look on the next slide to zoom in even a bit further on the region of Saxony, one of the 16 federal states in Germany. Here you see that it's also very well connected to other metropolitan centers, be it Prague in Czech Republic, be it our federal capital Berlin, and also the investment places Magdeburg and also Wrocław, where Intel also announced an investment for a new test and packaging facility. But you also see clearly that the true center of all this development is the city of Dresden, our state capital. And the next slide, please, even to zoom it a bit further. Here you see that it's all quite concentrated. We call it the semiconductor campus in the north of Dresden. So nearby the airport, the international airport of the city of Dresden, you have all these fabs of GlobalFoundries, X-Fab, Infineon, BOSCH, and also in the future TSMC. They are densely concentrated in a very small perimeter of urban space here in the city of Dresden. And let's zoom out now a bit to have a look now on the cluster itself. A cluster itself, it's a nice map, but for you it's not only a map, it shows also the potential customers for your companies. And the cluster consists of more than 3,600 companies with more than 75,000 employees. What we're really proud of is that in this leading European high-tech hub, we combine technology competencies in the field of hardware, software, but also connectivity. I remember that already more than 20 years ago, it was in Dresden where the 5G standard was developed at the Technical University of Dresden in cooperation with Vodafone, and now they are also already working on the next standard, the 6G standard here at the heart of Silicon Saxony. Let's have the next slide, please, colleagues. So this all sums up to this major cluster, the biggest European cluster for the semiconductor industry that has its home here in Dresden, and also in the topics of new developments, new research. we have set some landmarks in the field of micro and nano electronics, but also in organic and flexible electronics. This is all happening here, and we are happy to invite you to this region, and not only to this. And with the next slide, we make clear what are the suitable meeting points for our potential next meetings. Next week, the biggest meeting point for the semiconductor industry will take place in Munich. I personally will be there, and also my colleagues of Saxony Trade and Invest. You find us at our own booth in Munich, and I'm happy to see you there again. And maybe also one remark for your calendars for next year. Our cluster Silicon Saxony is holding its 18th Silicon Saxony Day on June 11th next year. So please make a sign in your calendar and come to Dresden. It's a perfect networking and also business opportunity for you to come here. And finally, the next one, what can we do for you? Together with our colleagues here today now with Deutsche Bank and also GDAI, we see ourselves as a one-stop agency. That's a classic phrase for such an agency, Saxony Trade and Invest. So we help with data on Saxony's economy, but also very detailed questions. Are our business, like when you look for a location, may it greenfield, may it be office space, or other questions, we see ourselves as your one-stop contact to help you further to establish your business here in Saxony. And that's it from my side today as a short introduction. And I'm happy now to introduce Christina Schön from GDAI to you as a public now. She's on the screen. Happy to see you, Christina. And I'm happy that you can introduce yourself a bit more and then jump into your presentation on incorporation in Germany. Thank you that you're here, and the screen is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Andreas, for this introduction. Dear participants, thank you very much for joining today's webinar. My name is Christina Schön, and together with my colleague Udo Sellast, I will give you some insights in how to set up business in Germany. I have worked for Germany Trade and Invest since 2009 as a specialist for tax and legal issues, and in these years I have assisted many foreign companies to establish business in Germany. Maybe one point to the technicians. I hear myself in an echo. I don't know if it's a possibility to do something about that. Okay, that is definitely better. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, let's start with the presentation. So if you could go to next slide, please. So, well, before we start with our main topics of today, one of the main topics, how to incorporate in Germany, I will briefly introduce you to our organization, Germany Trade and Invest. As I mentioned, my colleague Udo will then take over. He will give you an overview of the corporate tax system in Germany and then present the framework for entry and residency. But let's start with an introduction about GTAI. Next slide, please. So Germany Trade and Invest is the economic development agency of the Federal Republic of Germany. We are supported by the German Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. Our motto is for Germany in the world, for the world in Germany. And from this, you kind of probably understand a bit what we do and how we work. We have a team of more than 350 employees at more than 50 locations worldwide, including Taipei. And our main objective is to help German and foreign companies to do business abroad and to settle in Germany. So I guess this is kind of suiting for today's webinar. Next slide, please. Udo and I were both part of our investment consulting team. And within our investment consulting services, we support international companies just like you looking into the expansion of Germany by setting up business here. So in this context, we offer market information, site selection support, but also tax, legal, and financial information. In doing so, we cooperate very closely with the federal states in Germany and especially with their economic development agencies. And what I would like to add is that our services are free of charge and we do work confidentially. Next slide, please. You have already seen a map of Germany today. Andreas showed you it earlier. I have highlighted Saxony here in blue color, and especially the cooperation with the economic development agencies all over the country. And in this case, in Saxony, is very important to us, not only within webinars or other events, but also in daily work. We work hand in hand to assist foreign companies in finding the best possible site for an establishment and to contribute to a smooth realization of investment projects. Yeah, let's start with the main topics of today. So if we could go ahead. And we can skip the slide and go to the next one because it doesn't say very much. So foreign companies planning to set up their own German market presence have to know that there are basically two options for this, either a branch office or a subsidiary. A branch office means that your Taiwanese company registers a branch here in Germany without setting up a new legal entity. In the case of a subsidiary, a new legal entity is set up according to German law. And for this purpose, there are different company forms available. The most popular one is the German Limited Liability Company, the GmbH. Especially a subsidiary in the form of a GmbH often tends to be the most popular option for long-term market presence here in Germany. So we will focus on this scenario in today's presentation. Please go ahead. And a major reason why many foreign companies actually choose a subsidiary for the long-term activities in Germany is that it's generally easier to conduct business through a local legal entity. A subsidiary in the form of a GmbH will typically also give your business more credibility with third parties, such as banks, service providers, and customers. As I mentioned, is the German Limited Liability Company the most popular company form for this purpose, since it offers a limited liability and is also quite flexible, I would say, for a company form with limited liability. It requires a German physical business address and a local representative on site here in the country. A minimum share capital of 25,000 euros is needed. This is, however, not to be understood as a deposit and can generally also be used for business operations to a certain extent. Anyway. Yeah, let's go ahead with next slide. In terms of organization, the GmbH has two mandatory bodies, as you can see on this slide, the shareholders meeting and the managing director. The managing director is the person representing and managing the company and daily business. A GmbH has to have at least one managing director, but could also have more of them. The shareholders meeting, on the other side, is the supreme body and can issue binding instructions for the managing director. This is a quite useful tool for a foreign parent company who would like to control the managing director of the local subsidiary. The fact that they actually can issue binding directions to this person. In terms of company law, there are no specific requirements on nationality or residency of shareholders and managing directors. So you don't have to be a German citizen in order to have one of these roles, for instance. What I would like to add is that in companies with more than 500 employees, a supervisory board is mandatory, but in all other cases, this is optional, and it's not very usual that companies with less than 500 employees do have a supervisory board. We will have a look at the incorporation process. So if you could please move ahead with the presentation. And as you can see on this slide, the process for the incorporation of a GmbH has quite clear defined steps. Key person during the incorporation is a German notary. A notary is an officially appointed lawyer entrusted also with certain public functions. And when it comes to the incorporation of a GmbH, it is required to involve a German notary. So as a first step, the company's articles of associations must be adopted by its shareholder and also notarized by a notary. The notary will check formal aspects of the articles in a session with shareholders or their representatives. It is also very important the managing director of the future company attends this session in person, since he or she will get instructions from the notary. So after the session with the notary, you will get a very nice deed with a seal. And this is actually the papers that show that you are having a company in foundation, that you have started the incorporation process. And these papers are very important also when you would like to set up a bank account, which is necessary to transfer the share capital of the company. Luckily, we have a representative from Deutsche Bank with us today who will talk a bit more about bank account opening in Germany. So I will let this topic for him. But it is a requirement for this procedure that actually the share capital of the company can be put in on a bank account. And as I mentioned before, the minimum share capital of a GmbH is 25,000 euros. It is sufficient that half of this sum, 12,500 euros, must be on an account, and you will have to show also a statement of account for the notary. Before that, the notary cannot file an application for the commercial register. So once the money is there, you have shown the status of your bank account to the notary, this application will be filed. The commercial register will check all the paperwork, and hopefully they are fine with what they see, and registers the company. This is a very important point in this procedure, because with registration in the commercial register, the company starts to exist, and also its limited liability. So you shouldn't take any action on behalf of the company before that has happened. So as a last step, before you actually start your business, you also have to notify the local trade office about this. Most business operations in Germany are not subject to a specific license. However, there are certain restricted areas. If you're into financial services, etc., it is required to have a license. This, of course, we could check individually if you have questions on this. Yes, please go ahead. In order to start this incorporation process with a German notary, it is necessary that you have certain documents about the parent company. These documentation must verify that your Taiwanese company actually exists, and the person that is taking action on behalf of the company actually is allowed to do so, that this person has power of representation. This is typically verified by a company registration certificate. As a rule, all foreign public documents require authentication for use in Germany. And for this purpose, the German Institute Taipei offers a legalization procedure. According to the information from the German Institute, first of all, this certificate, the company registration certificate in original, must be notarized by a Taiwanese notary. And in a second step, the German Institute can confirm the notary's signature and seal. I have inserted a link to the German Institute in Taipei in the presentation, where you can read a bit more about this procedure. What I would like to highlight is that it's very important that you, on an early stage, contact a German notary to discuss all these issues, so that you can get clear information exactly what documents do you need, in what form does the notary need them, regarding authentication, legalization, and also translation. So please don't go ahead and start this legalization procedure before you have talked to the notary about this. It is very important that you have the right documents. Yes, please, next slide. You probably wonder a bit about the costs for the incorporation. So first of all, notary fees are set by law in Germany, and the costs depend on the incorporated company's share capital, but also on its number of shareholders and managing director. So if you have this standard case, a GmbH with a share capital of 25,000 euros, one shareholder and one managing director, the costs will be approximately 900 euros. However, this includes notarization and also the fee for the commercial register. If you are looking for further legal advice, if you want to have very customized articles of association and so on, there will be other legal fees for this, and you will have to get in contact with a law firm for getting these extra services. The procedure which I have described so far shows the incorporation of a completely new company. Another option would be to acquire a shelf company. Please, next slide. Yeah, that's the one. Yes, what is a shelf company? Well, a shelf company is an already made company which not yet has conducted any business activity. This is also very important, because if you would acquire a company that already has actually conducted business, you might have the risk that you also acquire certain liabilities from this company, which you probably wouldn't like to do. So this could be an option. Typically, notary offices or other organizations have these ready-made companies that never have conducted any market activities before. Still, a contact to a German notary is required for the share purchase agreement, for the changes of articles, and so on. All these changes must be reported to the commercial register, also including the new economic establishment. Why do so? Well, this could actually speed up your procedure a bit. I also advise you to talk to the notary about these options, whether this makes sense for you, or if the normal procedure of setting up a completely new company is completely sufficient for your timeline. The costs for the acquisition of a shelf company are around 28,000 euros, which also includes then the share capital of 25,000 euros. The Association of the German Notaries offer also quite detailed information about shelf companies in Germany on their website, where you could also have a look if you're interested to read a bit more about this. Okay, this was a quite quick rush through the procedure of setting up a company in Germany. I hope I have covered most of the fields where you might have questions. I think we are up for a small Q&A session right now. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Thank you,
Andreas?
Christina, at first for your presentation and the insights you gave. First of all, let me make two additional remarks. All the presentations shown today will be sent also to our participants that we invited. So there's no need to write everything into your textbooks. You'll get all the presentations. And second remark, there was a short comprehension question in the chat, Christina, also to you. Maybe you can answer it. If not, we deliver it later. Does the representative or must receive a salary in Germany? The representative, I think it was for the founding GmbH process, where you mentioned that there must be one representative.
Well, it depends, I guess, a bit on the activity of this representative. If this one is actually doing work for the company, yes, I would say a certain salary would probably be necessary in this case. I probably have to check into that a bit closer, but this is the information that I can give you right now on that.
Okay. And also the second one was a brief one, recording an email address. I guess this is asking for an email address to GDAI. I guess, and I know that Udo and you have a final chart also with your contacts.
Sure.
And otherwise you'll find it also on the GDAI website, your direct contact to Christina Schön and Udo Sellhast.
Yeah, you will receive the contacts in the presentation, and feel free to contact us whether there are any further questions.
Christina, thank you for the moment. And now we'll shift next door, let's say, to your colleague Udo Sellhast, who is also sitting in Berlin today in his office studio. And here he is on the screen. Good morning, Udo, to you. And thank you also to you that you joined us today for our webinar. And we're looking forward to your brief introduction and also to your coverage of the topics corporate taxation in Germany, but also entry and residence regulations. I'm happy that you're here with us, and the screen is yours now.
Thank you, Andreas, and thanks to you and also to Konrad for inviting Christina and me to this webinar. So really appreciate it, and thank you all for participating in today's webinar. Also from my side, yeah, I'm a colleague of Christina, and I also work in the Investor Support Services team of Germany Trade and Invest for more than 10 years. And after Christina has shown you how to establish a company in Germany, I will provide you with an overview on the German corporate tax system and entry and residence regulations in Germany. So maybe if we now start with the next slide of the presentation on corporate taxation in Germany, or to be more precise, with the taxation of corporations like the GmbH in Germany, because that differs from the taxation of individuals in Germany. And when we go to the next slide, maybe we initially find out that the most important point about the German corporate tax system is that it consists of three different components, which are all based on the profits of the company. Two of these components are fixed, but the third one varies locally and is therefore decisive for the overall corporate tax rate of a company. The first and fixed component of the corporate income tax system is the corporate income tax itself. This is a flat tax of 15% on the profits. And on top of this, we do have something we call solidarity surcharge, which is roughly 0.8%. And the third component is the trade tax. And this is also based on a federal law. So the rules for calculating it are the same everywhere in Germany, but each city can individually decide how high the trade tax rate should be in this individual city. And there is a minimum, but mostly the taxes are beyond the minimum. And the German average of this effective trade tax rate is 14%, and therefore overall corporate tax burden or overall corporate tax rate is 20.9%. And when we have a little closer look at Saxony, there we find that there is a small municipality of Wachau, which offers the lowest effective trade tax rate of 11.6%. So this leads to an overall corporate tax rate of 27.4%. So this would be the lowest available rate in Saxony. The highest trade tax rate in Saxony is imposed by the also small municipality of Gorisch, and there the effective trade tax rate is 17.2%, leading to an overall corporate tax rate of 33%. So let us have a little closer look on the next slide on the overall corporate tax rates in Saxony. It is a very diversified landscape. So you can see, I'm not going to read out all the numbers to you now, but I just brought you some examples. You can see it's a very diversified tax landscape in Saxony. And the biggest city in Saxony, so Dresden, Leipzig, and Chemnitz, they have comparable overall corporate tax rates, but there are municipalities with lower tax burdens close to these cities. However, as you might still remember from Andreas' presentation on where the most companies are located in Silicon Saxony in the cluster, you may find that exactly Dresden, Leipzig, and Chemnitz have the largest aggregation of semiconductor companies, and therefore there are other reasons which usually are decisive for an investment location than just the tax rate. So, but maybe it's a good factor to know. When we have a closer look at another important aspect of corporate tax, that is what happens if profits are distributed from a German GmbH to a Taiwanese corporate parent company. That is on the next slide. And here the double taxation agreement between Taiwan and Germany limits the withholding tax, which has to be transferred to the German tax authority by the GmbH to only 10% in general. So that is quite a good thing when thinking about establishing a company in Germany, and finally, after initial starting years, making profits, and then it's good to know that there is not much left of the profits to be distributed to the tax authorities in Germany. So, of course, tax is an interesting and complicated topic which we could discuss for a long time, but I just wanted to give you an overview in this webinar. And so now I would like to continue on the next slides with some info on entry and residence regulation in Germany. And as the next slide shows, the relevant residence title normally depends on what is to be done in Germany and how long this is to be done in Germany. So for short-term stays of up to 90 days in any 180-day period, Taiwanese nationals generally do not require any visa if they are only on a business trip without pursuing an economic activity, so employment or self-employment. However, this visa exemption only applies to these short-term stays. So for longer stays or for taking up these economic activity like employment or self-employment, Taiwanese nationals living in Taiwan must apply for a so-called national visa at the German Institute in Taipei. And after entering Germany or Saxony with this national visa, then the final residence permit has to be applied for at the local immigration office in Saxony. But as the material conditions of the residence permit normally have been checked already during this national visa process, the final visa process in the end usually is just a formality. Let's now focus on some examples which might be important when establishing a company and employing Taiwanese nationals in Germany. And therefore, we've got some further slides. So maybe let's move on to that. We've got, first of all, the visa exemption for short-term business trips, which I shortly talked about a minute ago. And I would like to go into a little more detail on that because this covers especially the negotiation, conclusion, and monitoring of contracts, but it also applies to attending meetings, conferences, or trade fairs in Germany. And finally, also employees sent to Germany for a maximum of 90 days in order to establish a German part of the Taiwanese company can benefit from this waiver. Another very good thing is also that if a GmbH is set up, for instance, and a Taiwanese managing director wants to stay a resident of Taiwan and only fly into Germany for short stays with the purpose of managing the company, then this might also be done in general without any visa in general on the basis of this business trip visa exemption. So on the next slide, I wanted to show you a little bit more about the residence permit for long-term stays and also especially for taking up a job or a self-employment position in Germany. In this case, the relevant residence title depends on what exactly is to be done in Germany. And the requirements mainly depend on the person's status as employed or self-employed. So when we come to employees, then it really depends on the job position, what is to be done. We've got a Skilled Immigration Act, which says that in general it is necessary to have a job contract and a recognized qualification in Germany. So there might be a qualification either obtained in Germany itself or in Taiwan or any other country if it is recognized as an academic or vocational qualification in Germany during this visa process. And the another thing is that the Federal Employment Agency has to approve the residence permit. So it is necessary not to apply for it, but this is done within this national visa process. And the Federal Employment Agency usually checks whether the salary and the employment conditions are comparable to normal German ones. When it comes to self-employed persons, then on the procedure is very different because there is an individual assessment of the business plan and of the investment project by the local immigration office, already done within the course of the national visa process. Therefore, it is necessary to show that there is an economic interest or a regional need for exactly this investment, that positive economic effects are to be expected, and that the financing is secure either by own equity or by guarantees or other financial commitments from a bank. And for employers as well as for self-employed persons, the residence permit process always is started with this national visa application at the German Institute in Taipei if a Taiwanese national resides in Taiwan. I brought you some examples of special residence titles for employees on the next slides, which are the EU Blue Card and the ICT card. So maybe coming to the EU Blue Card first. This is a special residence title designed for employees with a university degree, which is proven comparable to a German one. And this is a significant easement when it comes to the residence permit process because it is not necessary to involve the Federal Employment Agency if there is an annual gross salary of more than 43,800 euros. This rate changes every year because it depends on certain figures in the German pension insurance system. This EU Blue Card is not applicable to academics who are only sent to Germany on the basis of a secondment, which is based on a Taiwanese job contract, because it's necessary to show that a German job contract is there. And maybe a final note, some engineers, IT specialists, and some other professions with a particular skill shortage, they can apply for an EU Blue Card even with the lower salaries, but then the Federal Employment Agency approval is necessary. finally, another advantage of the EU Blue Card is the possibility of getting a permanent settlement permit in Germany already after a very short time. So now I would like to show you on the next slide a little bit on the ICT card. This ICT card eases intra-corporate transfers of Taiwanese managers or specialists and is applicable to temporary transfers of these professionals for periods of more than 90 days to a duration of the posting of up to 3 years. So this might be, for instance, if somebody should come to the German entity in order to help with certain organizational things, and this would need more than 90 days, but maybe 1 or 2 years in order to have everything in place in Germany. So this might be a suitable residence title for that. And these managers and specialists, they must be sent from the Taiwanese company to a host entity in Germany, which belongs either to the same company, so that would be the normal branch office scenario, or to the same company group, that might be the GmbH, which is held by the Taiwanese company. And the Federal Employment Agency approval also is required for this ICT card, and also for the ICT card and for the EU Blue Card. It is necessary to apply for a national visa at the German Institute in Taipei first. So finally, let me point out on my final slide some upcoming changes which will enter into effect in spring 2024, because Germany recently reformed its Skilled Immigration Act. So I've got 2 examples for you. One, the law provides for greater flexibility, and future skilled workers with a degree acquired or recognized in Germany will be able to pursue any form of qualified employment, and not just in the sector in which they acquired their degree. So that is a significant improvement when it comes to maybe employing persons with a university degree, but they should also be responsible for other tasks. And as another example, the recognition of a professional qualification I talked about in the employees residence permit section, this will also be possible after entering Germany, and not only within the course of this national visa application. And if one wants to benefit from that, then the skilled employee and the employer must agree on a special recognition partnership, and then this allows the foreign employee to be employed in Germany more quick, and then also the employee can complete the recognition procedure in Germany while already having taken up work in Germany on the basis of this recognition partnership. And if you want to know more about these upcoming changes, then I recommend that you have a look at our dedicated GTAI website, www.gtai.com/talents, or that you have a look at the official German federal government's website on immigration for Make It in Germany. That's the name of it. And if you want to know more about what Christina and I were talking about today, then please feel free to have a look into our investment guide or into our Investors Basics, which are both available online. And as there was a question about the email addresses, maybe on the last slide, we do have the email addresses of Christina and me, so please feel free to contact both of us if you've got any further questions, which we do not already answer right now. So thank you very much, and I'm handing over to Andreas and Dresden again.
Your insights, and you made your presentation so well that you didn't cause any questions in the chat, but there was one question, I think, focusing again on the topics that Christina presented. If there is a list of lawyers and notaries, maybe there are 2 answers to that. In the presentation Christina showed, there was a link to the Association of Notaries, where you probably can find the individual offices. And the second answer is that we will also send a list from notaries in Saxony that could help with this process in the aftermath of this presentation. So, Udo, thanks a lot for this presentation. We see you again at the final stage of our webinar when we have the Q&A session again. Then you'll join us virtually again, also with your picture and with your colleague Christina Schön again. And now we are focusing on the third and final content and topic of our webinar. It's the topic of banking and the topic of opening a banking account, which sounds similar, or well, not similar but simple for private persons, is not an easy issue for companies and corporate actors. And that's why I'm happy that Michael Erfurt from Deutsche Bank joined us today. He will give a brief glimpse on the partner of Deutsche Bank and also on the topic of banking and opening a bank account today. He is here with us. I'm happy that he joined us, and he'll give a short presentation on his institute, but also on himself before jumping into the topic. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas, and good afternoon and a warm welcome to Taiwan. Thanks for joining this webinar. Yeah, my name is Michael Erfurt, and I'm responsible for Deutsche Bank Corporate Bank in Saxony. Today's presentation will be presented to you together with my colleague in Taiwan, Ingrid. Hello, Ingrid, and thanks for joining. And thanks to the SDI and JD&I for the opportunity to be part of this webinar. In the next few minutes, I would like to give you a brief overview of Deutsche Bank and the topics of supporting you and the possible investment in Europe, especially here in Saxony. Due to the limited time on our webinar today, our aim is to give you a general overview. And at the end of the presentation, you will receive Ingrid's contact details for individual questions and conversations directly on site in Taiwan, as well as my data for your possible topics on site here in Saxony and Germany. So please go to the next page. So first, we are well positioned to bring the Taiwanese supply chain for advanced semiconductor manufacturing to Europe. We are the market leader in Germany and Western Europe with the best top-tier connection in the EU and national and state level. And in our home market, we are number one in the capital markets, FX, trade finance, cash, and wealth management. And we have a market share of 41% to foreign business. And we are the key bank for the German automotive companies. So, well, it would be great if you go one page earlier. Okay, so, well, that's live, and so there is one page missing. So let me also go to our special relationship to Asia. We have a long-standing relationship. We are the only German bank in Taiwan with a full bank license, and we have been active there since 1980. So dedicated teams in Germany and also in Taiwan are ready to accompany semiconductor manufacturers and also their suppliers across all stages of their journey to become a driving force in European semiconductor manufacturing. So, and on the next page, you see it earlier before? No, just one back, by one, yes. There you see our positioning for companies in Western Europe and our FX experience. They are one of the top services that we have, and we are very proud of these awards given by the latest leading finance magazine surveys. And on the right side, you see our local and our global footprint. More than 7,000 people and operate for the corporate bank, and the corporate bank is present in 42 countries, servicing clients in more than 140 countries and jurisdictions worldwide. So, and let us look briefly at Saxony on the next page. We provide full access to the global corporate and investment bank for all suppliers based in Saxony to help them facilitate local business relationships with our 3 teams in Dresden, in Chemnitz, and in Leipzig. And we have direct access and active roles in all relevant networks. One example is Silicon Saxony. We have customer experience in all key industries such as automotive technology, IT, mechanical engineering, and to public sector and commercial real estate. With our local knowledge, we are your contact for relevant local requirements, regulations, or all relevant questions about your establishment and growth. And special for your employees, we provide English-speaking experts for all financial matters in the 4 branches that we have in the city of Dresden and also in the other cities of Saxony. And we have already implemented these services also to multinational companies like Lufthansa, Mercedes, or Bayer. So on the next slide, you get an overview of our best-in-class services for treasury and transaction capabilities. We are the market leader for SEPA payments, and we are the world's largest euro clearer. Outside the US, we are one of the largest US dollar clearers, and that combined with an on-site implementation and service and client integration consultant team. We offer cash management product solutions for receivables, like check receivables, direct debits, instant payments, virtual account reconciliation, for payables, tax and salary, instant payments, credit transfers, check payables, bulk payments, individual payments. You see it on the left side on this slide. Liquidity management is important, global cash concentration, pooling services, and also investment services. And on the FX side, cross-currency payments, receivables, FX automation, and multi-currency cash concentration. So, and for these best-in-class FX services, we are operating as a single global business in more than 35 locations worldwide and engaging in market making 24 hours a day and 5.5 days a week. So, particularly strong in derivative solutions and ABFX electronic offerings. So we are one of the only firms on the leading edge of both the asset and liability side of the equation. You can see these topics on the right. So let us go to the next page, and you see here the offers for your employees. By joining our partnership banking program, your employees will have access to our excellent service and attractive conditions to the DB's entire product range. In particular, accounts, debit and credit cards, personal loans, investment and savings, insurance and retirement benefits, as well as private real estate financing. So, but on the next page, that's not so similar. Before you and also your employees are able to use our products and services, the KYC due diligence, KYC stands for Know Your Customer, is the first step a bank needs to conduct, especially with a corporate, before account opening. The requirements are clearly defined. And after receiving the full set of needed documents, we need 4 to 8 weeks that are required to complete the adoption, depending on the KYC risk profile of the corporate. On this page, you will find the points of the KYC due diligence regarding the necessary company documents, So for ownership information, here is necessary that we get an up-to-date and valid full ownership chart of the company, inclusive all intermediary shareholders up to the ultimate beneficial owner. And if the ultimate beneficial owner, a natural person, the source of wealth of the UBO is necessary. So then we also need the purpose of the relationship. That is really necessary and the scope of our business relation. Identification documents, compliance and anti-money laundering matters, as well as tax information. Details can be found on the left side on the attached file. And for certain products and services, additional due diligence questions needed to be answered. So, and for your employees, on the next page, there are also key criteria and considerations for opening a personal account. So you or your employees will have the opportunity to open a resident account or a non-resident account. The easiest way is a resident account because there are no restriction on usage. That means a registration and the postal address in Germany is needed. For both accounts, any person who wishes to open a personal account has to be in person in one of our locations. And for you and a possible investment in Dresden, our central private banking desk is located in Dresden on Königsbrücker Straße, and he will be managed by our branch director, Hans-Helmut Klövekorn. He will assign a direct English-speaking expert to every single person. So that was a short overview over the criteria, needed documents, and the things that we need to support you here in Saxony. And on our last page, you will find our contact details. We are looking forward to hearing and seeing you personally in Taiwan and also in Germany. Thank you very much for your attention, and back to Andreas.
Thank you, Michael, for these insights on opening a banking account and also on the scope that Deutsche Bank as a potential partner can offer for the companies, but also for the employees of these companies have decided to come here. Now we have time to jump into our Q&A session, and I heartily invite all viewers of today's webinar to use the chat function via YouTube. At the moment, we have questions inside the chat that we had already answered. That's why I would like to invite now all the speakers into the split screen mode and ask our technicians to pull the strings together. Thank you. And yeah, now we also see Ingrid Chang. Welcome to our round of experts here today. And for our studio cam, I would like to have the total view with Michael and me. Yeah, perfect now. So now we are ready to join the discussion, and I heartily invite the participants to use the chat function. Until we wait for coming questions, I have two questions also for our experts, and it could be interesting, I guess, also for our audience. Michael, maybe the first question to you. You described the KYC process, know your customer. What are typical problems that you see when running through these KYC processes, and what can our partners and Taiwanese companies learn from these typical problems, maybe?
Well, the big problem is the period of time that we need to adapt the corporate. So the best way to keep this as short as possible is to be well prepared with a full set of documents. So, so we are really thankful to be here, so we can provide you the needed documents, the checklist, all the things that you have to be with you if you want to open up account with Deutsche Bank. So, and because all the typical question to the ultimate beneficiary owner, identification documents, source of funds, source of wealth. So a lot of documents are needed, and so that will be the biggest part of the onboarding process, and that will take some time if some of these documents are not there at the right time. So, and another thing is here, so maybe it's easier for you to ask questions maybe in Mandarin or so. So Ingrid is able to answer also these questions, and so if it's easier for our participants to do so, also please feel invited to ask these questions in the Mandarin.
Yeah, that's true. It's possible in Mandarin as well. We couldn't cover it, Michael and me, but therefore we have Inge Chang that joined us today. To sum it up, it's important to take the time, to take the 4 to 8 weeks
Yes.
For this process, to take into account that this process needs that certain amount of time, but to be well prepared with the right and complete documents
Right.
For this process, and then there shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, but we will support you during this process, but it will take some time.
Okay, so take this into account. And the second question that I have on my paper goes to my colleagues of GDAI. Maybe Udo, you can share a first-hand experience. What is the most common entry path for professionals to enter the German job market? Can you share some insights on this? Maybe what's the most common way professionals choose at the moment to enter the German job market?
So I think that the normal entry or the normal residence permit for employees still is the way to go. However, during the last years, the EU Blue Card has raised more significance, and there also was a study that people coming to Germany with an EU Blue Card, that I think more than 60% of them also stay for more than 5 years. So really, that
At the moment, we have
situation.
problems with the voice, the audio. Udo, could you check whether you could enhance or improve your audio connection?
Can you hear me better now?
We checked here. Okay, maybe you can try to.
So is it
to
better
reboot
now?
the
for
audio
you?
connection? It seems to be now. It's a live topic now. We don't get your audio again. Christina, could you get your audio?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
No, it doesn't work as well.
Mm.
So there are some difficulties in the Dresden-Berlin connection. Not to Taiwan,
So
I
I
guess
can hear
it's
Christina.
strange.
That's
Ingrid, we can
strange.
hear
I
you.
can hear Udo as well.
Can you give us a short
Yeah.
sign?
So
No.
No.
wait.
Now we can hear you, Ingrid. Thanks for the sign. Christina?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, not yet. Well, while the technicians work, we invite again to use the chat function. I think we answered the questions that came in, and we'll provide the presentations that have been shown today, and also a list of suitable lawyers and notaries in Saxony, and also in GDAI's presentation. There was a link, Christina, I think it was in your presentation, where you can connect with the Association of Notaries, and there also you can see the available notaries in Germany. So that's the information package for today. And since there are no questions in the chat, and also from our speakers, No question marks regarding their presentations. Of course, they are the experts. I'm happy that we could have this webinar today in this format. It was also a quite new format for us, but I think we handled it quite well. And I want to say thank you to all the speakers today, Inke Chang, Udo Sellers, Christina Schön from GDA AI, and also Michael Erfurt here in the studio in Dresden. And also thank you to all the participants and viewers of our live YouTube stream. And finally, I want to highlight the possible meeting opportunities for us with you. First of all, the Semicon Europe in Munich next week. You find us there at the Silicon Saxony booth. I personally will be there also on Tuesday and Wednesday next week for further meetings and talks. And the second advice and hint is the Silicon Saxony Day next year, coming up on June 11th. Please mark this in your calendars. A very good opportunity to meet all the semiconductor companies here in Saxony, in Silicon Saxony. And we will continue this dialogue with you as Taiwanese companies, and we're looking forward to your direct contacts with us and also our partners. On the final slide, you'll find also a contact address, and you'll hear from us soon. So thank you again for joining us, and hope to see you again. And for this stage and for today, a goodbye from us and a good afternoon to Taiwan. See you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.